to the fifth episode of Inside the Salesforce Ecosystem, where we dive deep with the experts and trailblazers shaping the future of Salesforce. I'm your host, Luke White, and in every episode, we're exploring the unique journeys, challenges, and insights of those who make this ecosystem thrive. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Jack Linstead. Jack is a senior managed service consultant at Alicorn Digital. Alicorn Digital are an award-winning digital transformation consultancy and Salesforce partner. So thank you for joining me today, Jack.
Thank you, Luke. I look forward to answering all your questions.
I've got many for you. So let's dive in. So, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your current role at Alicorn today?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I started in the Salesforce ecosystem back in 20. I think it'd be back near 2012, 2011. So quite a long time now, when it was just literally Core Cloud and we had Classic. And I have literally evolved into the Salesforce world, with all the new clouds and everything else ever since, basically. And I absolutely love it. And I've worked with Charlotte for a long time, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
And so what's your role? What sort of takes up most of your day to day with Alicorn in that sort of managed service sort of consultant role that you've got?
Well, I'm the senior managed service consultant for Alicorn. I work with a lot of customers. Mainly I deal with property, which is a really lovely one. So I do a lot of field service lightning now. And I have also been doing a lot of PDF templates for my customers as well, with PDF Butler and utilizing the Sign Butler as well, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that's good. So how did you get into the system, into Salesforce ecosystem? So you said you started maybe 2011 now, which sounds like it was yesterday, but actually you look at the calendar and you go, actually it's 2024. 2011 was a long time ago now.
Well, it
feels like yesterday. But yeah, how did you get in? Where was up until that point?
Two consultancies here in Witham in Essex. And I joined here and I did a couple of years doing it locally. And then I had a break from it for a little while and I just went to do standard IT support. And I decided, no, I really liked what I did. I loved Salesforce and I wanted to get back into it. And I reached out to someone and they gave me an interview in London and I got back into it that way. And I'm so pleased that I made that move. Otherwise, I wouldn't be where I am now.
And what was that thing? So what did you miss when you stepped away from Salesforce and into normal IT? What was it you missed about Salesforce? You go, do you know what? I want to be back into the Salesforce world.
It's just fun. The colleagues are great. The consultancies are great. But not only that, it's what I wanted to do. It was my specialty. I've always been Salesforce obsessed. Apex, Visualforce, Flows, that's where my knowledge all spins around. Whilst I enjoyed my little break doing other things, it wasn't what I wanted to do ultimately. I wanted to be back doing Salesforce, which I love. So that's what got me back, basically.
The lore of Salesforce. It captures
indeed.
Many people for sure. Yeah, the siren that is Salesforce calling everyone in.
Yeah, you know this.
Yeah, indeed. So what does a typical day look like for you when you're managing obviously all your customers and etc.? I guess maybe there isn't a typical day, but what sort of is a typical day?
We try and manage it really well. I've got a fantastic thing that I do. Charlotte, she's brilliant. I'll speak with her and we tend to just manage a client a day. It's not actually the case today. I'm going to be managing multiple, but I try and just set myself so that I'm concentrating on one customer at a time. Because I feel I get a lot more traction that way. If I just focus on one customer per day, I can get a hell of a lot done for them and jump them right ahead. Whereas I feel sometimes if I split it out and have to do too many in a day, it can be a little bit tricky to navigate. But I am doing multiple today, so we'll see how I go.
Yeah, I guess this time of year for anyone. Obviously, we're recording this in towards the mid of December, so yeah, it's obviously a crazy time, I'd imagine, as well this time of year.
Indeed. Yeah, lots going on in December. You think, oh, Christmas, it will slow down, but that's not the case. It seems to be more cases and more cases near Christmas. So I've just got to get them done.
Yeah,
basically.
I found in my consulting days that actually you'd think, to your point, you'd think that Christmas will be a bit quieter, but actually because everyone else's day-to-day job is quieter, they then go, oh yeah, I've got this Salesforce project I need to make sure I'm following up with. That's where you get the barrage of emails then coming in. Oh no, they're
Yeah,
alive.
I
Oh
think
no,
they
no.
do. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's literally it. You know it, Luke.
Exactly. Exactly. So now it's a bit of a loaded question. Maybe you can't pick one, but what has been like one of the most rewarding moments of your career to date?
Working for Alicorn, really. I love working for Alicorn. Working for Charlotte. It's really lovely. I just won the Customer Ambassador Award. It's the second year in a row that I won it, so
Ah, congrats.
I couldn't be
Congrats.
more happier. I love the customers. I love looking after them, um, understanding their business, uh, learning what they need, and just looking after them, basically.
Okay, so happy customers is a thing that keeps you like that makes
Keeps
you
me
is that
ticking, yeah. It keeps
yeah,
me ticking.
exactly. And that warm fuzzy feeling of those happy
Oh,
customers in
when I
there.
get a
Yeah.
result end to end and I see that end bit where they're actually happy, I'm like, yes, I've done
Yeah.
it.
So that's a nice bridge actually to my next question. So can you share with us like a project that you've worked on where that you've had like a meaningful impact and you've really sort of how you've approached solving that customer's challenges that they have?
Yeah, I mean, I was thrown into the field service lightning project for the property teams, and I didn't know, I'll be honest with you, I was new to field service. That was new to me. They just threw me in and I had to learn it all from scratch. But when I saw how it's so tied heavily into the core Salesforce system as well, it made it so quick to pick up with your territories, your scheduler, the field service mobile app, its configurations and everything else. It soon becomes second nature to me, which is excellent. I never envisaged that, to be honest. But it was just a case of sort of throwing myself into realizing all of that and then getting on with it. And that was very rewarding.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. And also, I guess what's interesting is a lot of those other platforms that Salesforce have got, they've still got some core tie back to like the original sort of like Sales Cloud as well. So I guess your knowledge from there helped have
It
that base
helped.
understanding.
And I thought it was going to be totally different. I won't lie to you. I thought it was going to be something I was going to get completely lost within, and struggle. But it was actually quite the contrary. And I think sometimes I just need to sort of throw myself in there to realize these things and yeah,
Yeah, I
learn.
suppose the fear is always worse than the
You know
action,
it.
the
Yeah,
anticipation.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
you,
Yeah, just go
you
for it
jump
is
in,
what I'd say.
you jump in, you
I'd
go,
advise that
ah,
to any consultant who's learning and progressing. Just throw yourself in there. It might seem a little bit scary at first, but if you go for it, you'll soon pick it up.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So what are your sort of go-to strategies when we're looking at sort of like trying to enhance that customer service processes that your customers have? What strategies do you put in place to sort of take your customers by the hand and walk them through the sort of best practices of how they should implement their Salesforce
Well,
instance?
yeah, definitely. Obviously, tell them the best practices to start with. I'm also learning more clouds as well, so um, that will help them. I know that they're all branching into different things that they need. So if I'm not skilled up on the different clouds, then there's going to be problems there. So I need to make sure I'm skilled up in that regard. But also, yeah, best practice all the time. Just making sure that they're doing the right things. Do things carefully. Data jobs, for instance, we all know how risky they can be if they need customer data updating. Just tread really carefully and just check it iteratively with the customer. Just go straight back to them when you've done it and say, is this okay, sir? How's this looking? Is this data correct? Have I done this right? Because you could fix it there and then if it goes wrong on first time. But if you walk away from it and you've left the customer with a problem, it's going to be slightly more problematic. So just constantly checking with the customer and touching base to make sure you're doing things right would be the best practice and best ways.
So that communication is important back and forth with the customer
Absolutely.
then,
Back and
for
forth
sure.
communication, making sure you're touching base with them, making sure they're happy. Fundamentally, they've got to make sure that what you've done is correct. Because if it isn't, then there's going to be a huge problem.
How do you handle a situation when a customer's in their mind to say, look, this is the process, this is how our process has been for 10 years, Jack, and you look at it and go, this is a ridiculous process, and we need to change this. So how do you challenge that sort of like challenging conversation about, hey, look, just because it's been right for 10 years doesn't mean it's right for you to do now in accordance with some of the Salesforce best practices. How do you have that tricky conversation?
Yeah, well, sometimes I analyze these processes, and obviously, you don't want to. If you look at something, you think, "Oh, that's been done by previous consultancy," and that's not perhaps the best way. It's a longer way. It's more manual, and you can spot something that's a little bit more dynamic, a little bit automatic, that can be done in a better way. I have to sort of approach it in a professional way, and just say to the customer, "Look, there is a better way of doing this, something that will help you more, explain why it helps them more, doing it the other way, rather than just going in and saying, this way is awful, do it my way. If you go in and you actually show them why it's beneficial to their business, that's the most important thing, because they listen to that and um, yeah, they'll listen to that and they'll basically go with you, and they'll be on board, getting them on board, really.
Yeah, winning hearts and minds, kissing babies, that sort of stuff. Yeah, just to
100%.
get them in there.
Yeah.
So, how we know that everyone who works in the Salesforce ecosystems know that it's an ever changing landscape. So, how do you keep up to date with all the things that Salesforce do? Obviously, recently with Agentforce and etc. And then how do you keep up to date? And then how do you then incorporate them into the solutions you're giving to the customers?
Yeah. Well, I read a lot about it. I mean, half the time Salesforce, they're a million times ahead of us sometimes, because
Mm.
there's a new thing every day. But I do try my best to obviously read about it, and just like I said before, I guess actually just trying it is the best way to learn half the time, with field service, as I cited before. Just jumping in and doing that, enabled me to learn that almost instantly. And things like Agent Force, it's just a bolt on half the time to standard things that we've had already, like chat agents, etc.
Yeah,
But it's just the AI bolt on, and it's a bit like, they're bolting Einstein AI onto flow builders, so you can type in text that will generatively create a flow, for instance, and things like that. I'm quite intrigued to see how that all works. So just throwing yourself in, really, and doing it, basically.
and have you got any go-to sources you go to for reading that Salesforce sort of news and etc.? Is it just Salesforce sort of their website, or do you go anywhere else? Where's your sort of sources of
Well,
truth?
I do actually have Salesforce books in my bedroom,
Oh, okay,
which is a bit
okay,
sad, but they're quite good.
yeah,
They don't tend to go out of date, because everything in the cloud and Salesforce is just all relevant, but all bears relevance still, which is great. So that they do come in useful. I do use the internet as well. Salesforce documentation, actually, I find that a really good one, because their
okay.
documentation can be really, really good. It does amaze me sometimes, actually, just reading that. That goes into a lot of depth, which is useful for someone who's quite technical. So I do actually recommend Salesforce documentation, um, and sometimes Google as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, Google.
old school, almost old school Google now. Yeah,
Yeah, you get
exactly.
a lot of Salesforce forums from certain people who are experts in Salesforce. Their websites will come up, and you can read a lot about solutions, challenges, and things like that. So always very useful. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think
All right.
lots of those consultants sort of have their own niche, don't they? So when you're searching for a particular question or a particular topic, you then find a Salesforce consultant who's got their own website or own blog, and they just do flow, or they just do this. They've got
Definitely.
their niche, which I think helps for sure.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah.
Um, so what do you find the most challenging part about your job? It's not obviously all rainbows and unicorns, working with customers and doing implementation. So what's the most challenging parts, and then how do you overcome some of those challenges?
Um, yeah, when I get challenges thrown at me, I can liaise with my manager if I need to.
Yeah,
So that's always a useful one. Going back to the customer again, asking them how I can circumvent an issue. Yeah, lots of ways I can get past the challenge. So yeah, just throw it at me and I'll take that and run with it.
Can you give us an example of like one of the most recent challenges that you've been thrown at from a customer?
Oh, very good question. Timesheets on a field service mobile app. You can create flows in the field service mobile app, but I don't know if you know, they're a lot trickier than normal flows. There's
Okay.
hell of a lot of limitations. So I took that and I realized the limitations and I kept trying it on the phone and I kept simplifying things to make sure that I wasn't hitting any limitations because there's so many restrictions in what you can do with a field service mobile flow. Um, it's very hard to explain, but you can't do a lot of the standard flow functions. If you do a get record
Okay.
and you pick all the fields, you have to manually pick the fields and things like that. There's so many hideous limitations on it, but I managed to navigate it and build a timesheet thing on the app, which was perfect.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. There's always little wrinkles, isn't there, somewhere where there's some limitations you weren't expecting there to be limitations for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
So what if someone was speaking to you and they wanted to get into the world of Salesforce and maybe even a service consultant like yourself, what skills, certifications would you recommend? How would they sort of get going in that journey? Or
Uh,
would you say
ad
don't do it, run away, run away? Yeah.
That might be a nice idea. No, we're
Yeah.
joking. Um, Admin and app builder is always a good one to start. And then branching out to ones like platform developer one, that's a really good one as well. Hands-on, technical, and it just teaches you the Salesforce basics, really. The rudimentary Salesforce stuff that you need to know as a consultant. So I'd say go for it. And Trailhead as well. I know you probably hear that a lot, but Trailhead is a really good one.
Yeah, we do. It's been a bit of a common theme. I think that the trailhead does give people at least they can get their toe in and go, is this for me or is it not for me? And then it gives them a good starting point as well. Um, what skills do you think also that person would need? Do you think is it? There's obviously there's two camps. There's technical skills, but then I think there's relationship skills as well. So what skill sets? If they're getting the Salesforce certifications, what skill set do you think someone would have the optimum success in the role if they had these certain skill sets that they brought with them?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah, so in terms of some of the skills that are involved, what skills do you think are important in a role that you do today? So not the certifications, but like actual sort of those soft skills, relationship building, etc. What skills do you think are important?
It's really important building a relationship with your customer. Meeting that customer, talking with them, liaising with them, and making sure you understand the customer. Get speaking with them about all the questions you've got, um, and basically, yeah, just listening. Really, listening is key.
Yeah, I think that's key. I think listening is key, and a common thing we've had speaking to other peers of yours as well has been the ability to ask why and not be afraid to ask why and to ask those questions to the customers as well.
Yes, exactly. No, that's
Yeah.
definitely it. That's absolutely essential. No, that is key, really key. And
Yeah,
without that, you're not going to get anywhere, basically.
yeah, exactly. I think being brave to ask those questions sometimes, especially if it's a big customer and in your and it's maybe you're more junior, it's always good just to get used to that asking the question why, because I think that builds
Yeah,
trust as well.
definitely, 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 definitely. Yeah.
Um, so let's talk about the Salesforce ecosystem a little bit. So, yeah, we've had lots of conversations, and obviously I'm in the ecosystem as well. But how would you explain the wider Salesforce ecosystem to somebody who's not in it, and how would you explain how it all works?
I would say it probably goes a little bit back to what you said about the sort of learning of Salesforce, really. Because if you go onto Trailblazer, for instance, you can really skill yourself up using the badges. And that's a really good way to immerse yourself into the ecosystem itself, by actually just getting hands-on with the badges. And they slowly put you into it. They don't just throw you in. It just slowly brings you into the ecosystem. So I would say that, yeah, basically.
Yeah, and what's your feeling on of other people in the ecosystem? I personally find that it's quite a positive environment. People are trying to help each other. There's Reddit boards and there's all sorts of crazy things that are out there that are happening. What's your interpretation? Do you feel like actually it's quite a nice place to be within a Salesforce ecosystem? You feel like you're supported, like the community aspect of it, I think
Yeah,
is
there's
quite
such a
strong.
good community friendly feel. Help is always there. You can always feel like you can reach out to someone, ask a question on a community board. People are always in the ecosystem that are probably facing the same difficulties as you, to be honest. So ask around.
Ask around, definitely. I think that's important as well.
Yeah.
Um, let's dive a little bit into Alicorn, where you are today. So I think from what you've said, you love working there, which is fantastic. I think if everyone can love where they're working, you're on to a winner there. So what is it about? Maybe actually let's go back a step. Maybe give us a little bit of insight in terms of what Alicorn do, any speciality for people who aren't aware of Alicorn. Can you give us a little bit of background into the company?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Alicorn was founded by Pritesh and Johnny. They had a really good vision with Alicorn and they've really built it up now. We are just ever expanding. My team, for instance, is now 3 people, which is really nice. They've got a really well-established professional services team, which has multiple strands. I understand we've got team for Service Cloud, team for all the different strands within Salesforce as well, which is super cool. So that's a really exciting journey to be part of as it's growing and growing and growing. And Charlotte's been great to me, so I'm really excited to be on that journey with her and see where it's all going as well. So yeah,
And as a company, do Alicorn focus on any particular industry? Obviously, you're sort of in the property side, as you were mentioning. So, is there an
I think
industry
property
focus?
is a prominent theme. They do have a lot of
Yeah.
property customers, but that's not all. We do have other ones as well, but it is mainly, yeah, I think mainly a lot of property, especially for me. Definitely.
And is it just Salesforce that Alicorn do, or do they do wider other ecosystems and software as well?
Spread ourselves out, there's lots of different things that we can do as well. I am skilled up on multiple other tools as well. DocuSign, other things, lots and lots of different tools. So there are other things that I can do as well, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. So, what advice would you give maybe your younger self or somebody just starting? So we've talked about the skills and certifications, but what advice do you think you'd give to someone who's wanting to jump into the sort of the consulting world within the Salesforce ecosystem?
That's one of the best things. It's a really lovely thing to do. It's really rewarding when you give something to your customer and they are super happy with it. It's definitely something I'd recommend to anyone. Skill yourself up, jump in, liaise with your peers, and give it a go. And yeah, I don't think you'll regret it.
No, I get that theme of just jumping in both feet and just doing
Yeah,
doing the
that's
thing
the way you
is
know. If you do
definitely.
it, then you know.
Yeah, then you know one way or the other. I guess that's the beauty of
Yeah,
it. You either you love it or you hate it, but at least then you know
yeah,
there's
yeah,
an
yeah.
answer
100%. Yeah, definitely,
you can get from it.
definitely. Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so obviously in your job, like we touched upon earlier, you try to focus on like one customer per day if you can, with obviously other things that happen. What other things do you put in place for yourself to manage like your workload and to make you more efficient? What sort of skill or tactics do you use to help you keep on focus on
I
tasks?
I
Because
liaise with
it's
my
difficult.
I liaise with my manager Charlotte. She is brilliant. She will help me diarize all of my days, which means I can focus on my customers, give them that one-to-one interaction. I find sometimes cramming a lot in, different customers and all that, you can get lost, get yourself into a lot of difficulty because you're flitting from one thing to the next, and you really have to get in the mindset. Especially for me, I always find I have to get really in the zone and the mindset for each individual customer challenges. So she's brilliant. She helps diarize me, and it just helps me immensely because otherwise I'll just get in a complete twist, and get stuck. And I'd much rather be organized and just focusing on my one customer where I know I can really deliver value, which is what I do for the property team that I help out. I like to have a day where I just focus on them, and that's just a good day for me. I know I've delivered a lot for them, and it's been a good day, and that's when I go away happy ultimately, when the customer's happy. So that's the way I manage it. It's slightly differently to a lot of the others. But that works for me. So do
Okay,
what do what
that's
do what
good.
works for you as well,
Yeah, and I guess maybe try different approaches as well. I think until you find one that works for
Yeah,
sure.
definitely. Definitely,
Yeah,
definitely.
I always find sometimes just like turn off notifications is always a good one. If I've got a task I need to get done, like you get distracted by emails coming in, it's like hang on, the email can wait. It's not that important. I need to focus on this task. So I think that sort of thing's always good to see how you can handle it.
Definitely, definitely, definitely.
Um, so I guess you guys all work remotely. Are you in the office? How does the sort of the remote work in home in the office? Do you guys is it sort of just a hybrid or how does it work for you?
I tend to work from home quite a lot, and I when I do work in the office, it's not actually our office I tend to work at. I tend to work at the customer's office.
Oh, okay.
I find that a lot more beneficial as well, because working directly with the customer, if you have any questions, you can bounce off of the customer, ask that customer directly, and that works really, really well for me. Um, once again, I speak about the property team that I help out, but I have a gentleman there that I work with, and when I'm working with him, we can get so much more done if I'm there with him, because I can ask the questions and get the answer straight back, basically.
Yeah, that balance of like that home and office and I think you miss some of the social interaction. I've been working from home now for 9, 10 years. So even before it was cool. So I was doing it, but I think that being in the office with people, maybe not every day, but definitely miss that. You can't do brainstorming online. I think that's very difficult. And like you said, those questions just flow a lot easier when you are in person as well.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. Yeah, no, I totally agree. It helps me immensely working from home, to be honest, because it means I can just liaise with the customer either on the Teams and everything else. But it also, it costs me £60 to go to London every day. So for me,
Yeah.
it's a no-brainer working from home, as long as I can get access to speaking with my customer, which is the core thing for me, because that's what enables me to do my job. Then I don't have so much of an issue with it, because ultimately that's what's going to get me through, solving their solutions, really.
Yeah, I found that I was much more efficient working from home. You're not distracted, I guess, by office chat or anything that's happening in and around the office for sure. I miss that sometimes. So doing that is good. I'm fortunate I get to go to lots of events, so I get to get out the house as well. But I think that yeah, I did find sometimes when I go into the office in my previous company, I would do like half the work because you'd just be chatting and you'd be having these conversations and it'd be there. So there's some pros and cons, I guess, to both ways.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely.
So how do you balance that work and personal life, especially with the demands that you have, obviously trying to deliver the exceptional customer solutions to you? How do you manage that sort of work life balance?
Well, I don't really have a work-life balance. I'm not going to lie. I Alicorn are very good to me, but I also do a lot of community work outside of my normal day-to-day job. So when I do that as on top of all this, we do a lot of stuff for the community here. It's just knackers me, and I don't really get a weekend. It's like doing a 7-day week half the time. But I keep going. I keep going.
Let's on that note, let's dig into it. So yeah, talk to us a little bit about that community work that you and Alicorn are doing.
Yeah, 100%. Well, it's actually separate to Alicorn, a lot of the stuff that I do.
Yeah.
But I have built websites for local community organizations, which is
Okay.
super cool. Given churches Wi-Fi, giving machines, all manner of things like that as well. So yeah, I'm very, very busy man.
Oh, that's excellent. That's excellent. So obviously that takes up a lot of your time up as well outside of your work hours. So do you count that stuff as almost like your hobbies, or do you have some separate hobbies that takes up some of that other spare time, the very small bits of spare time you may get?
I would definitely say it's probably a lot of it's hobby. Yeah, a lot of it's helping out. I do a lot of work for the local councils in the area, and the local member of parliament as well. So just it's just a lot of work that I like to just give back and do good to help all of the people in the area really, and just support them. But that does consume a lot of my time on my weekends, of course, when I do my Salesforce job as well. So I've got to make sure I'm careful there.
Yeah, and still got to do
Give
a job that
myself a
pays
little
all
bit
the
of
bills.
balance. I do go on
Yeah,
holiday occasionally, I promise you.
yeah, you do turn away from a computer, hopefully
Yeah,
at some point, in there as well.
yeah,
Okay.
I
Um,
do.
so last question as we're heading into 2025 now. How do you see the Salesforce ecosystem going into 2025? Obviously, Agent Force is
Ah,
going
now
to
this
be
is a
front and
great
center.
question. This is going to
So where
be really exciting. I'm really excited. I love this question. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of super cool stuff. We've got Agent Force, we've got all these AI bolt-ons, and they seem to be spanning across all of the clouds, all of this AI technology, and I'm really excited. I'm super excited. I can see it going in a really good direction, and I will be reading release notes and checking out all of the new features as soon as they come along. So yeah.
Sorry, I said last question, but just I'm gonna sneak one more in actually because
Go
we
on,
talked
sneak
about
one
Agent
more in.
Files and AI. Um, are you hearing lots of questions from your customers that you speak to about, hey, we've seen this stuff about AI. How does it work? Are you starting to get those questions, or are people still a little bit, we're not sure about it or how it can help them?
Yeah, I think people are excited, definitely. From the people I've spoken to, they're excited. I think they're curious to know what it's going to do. Some people, a little bit like a little bit scared by it sometimes. They think, is it going to take over things? And I'm like, well, not really. I think at this stage it's just purely sort of generative stuff, and using the AI to create flows and create things. I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be really super beneficial to us, and it's going to aid us if anything. So bring it on, I say.
Bring it on. You got to embrace it. It's not going anywhere.
Definitely embrace it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I've done courses on the ethics of AI as well, so I do know about the ethical side of AI and how we should responsibly use it as well. But it definitely has its uses. It's such a good thing.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Jack, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for joining us. It's been a real pleasure, and yeah, I wish you good success in the next year.
Thank you very much, Luke. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye bye.